Toronto, 1951. Midnight. A cold wind sweeps across King Street as a lone figure steps out of the shadows. His polished shoes make a soft click on the icy pavement, calm, deliberate, almost graceful. In his hand, not a weapon drawn, but a simple leather briefcase. He pushes the glass door of the Bank of Toronto. Inside, the security guard barely glances up. The man just looks too ordinary, too polite to be a threat. But that's the thing about legends. They never look like trouble until the moment they strike. Within the next 10 minutes, this quiet stranger will walk out with thousands of dollars. No alarms will ring. No bullet will be fired. And the manager, the very man responsible for protecting the vault, will personally escort him out. This is not fiction. This is the story of Edwin Alonzo Boyd, the man Canada once called the gentleman bandit. A war veteran turned outlaw. A husband turned fugitive. And a thief who stole money with charm, confidence, and a smile. Tonight, you will hear the unbelievable true story of Canada's most charismatic bank robber. A man whose real-life heists shocked the nation. To understand how Edwin Alonzo Boyd became a legend, we must go back to the very beginning. Long before the gun, the disguise, and the headlines. Edwin returned from World War II carrying medals. But no direction. Like many soldiers, he came home hoping for a peaceful life. But the world had changed. Jobs were scarce. Money was tight. And the country he fought for seemed to forget him the moment he stepped off the ship. He tried different work, bus driver, laborer, anything he could find. But nothing paid enough to feed his wife and children. Day after day, he watched parents provide for their families while he struggled to buy milk. And then one night, a thought crossed his mind, dangerous, yet simple. If the world won't give me a chance, I'll take one. He didn't know it. But that thought would change the history of Canadian crime forever. It was supposed to be a small crime. A one-time act. A desperate attempt to grab enough money to survive, then disappear back into normal life. Edwin bought a cheap revolver. He didn't even load it. He waited until closing time, walked into a small Toronto bank, and said politely, "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid I must ask you to hand over the money." No shouting. No panic. Just a calm, confident voice, the voice of a man who seemed like he belonged there. And to everyone's shock, it worked. He walked out with several $1,000s, a fortune for the time. Enough to cover rent, food, and maybe even a better life. But something changed inside him. As the adrenaline rushed through his veins, he realized he was good at this. Too good. And once a man discovers a talent, especially a profitable one, it becomes nearly impossible to let it go. Bank robberies were rare in Canada. Police were unprepared. Security was minimal. And Edwin understood every weakness in the system. Soon he met others who shared his hunger. Lenny Jackson. Willie Jackson. Steve Suchin. Together, they formed a group that would send newspapers spinning. The Boyd Gang. They were charming. They were daring. And above all, they were fearless. They robbed banks in broad daylight, slipping in and out before police even arrived. Newspapers described them as handsome, polite, even friendly. People compared them to movie stars rather than criminals. Canada had never seen criminals like this. And the public couldn't look away. With every heist, the Boyd Gang grew more confident. They planned meticulously. Routine surveillance, timing guard shifts, studying escape routes. They walked into banks with smooth voices and steady hands. No shots fired. No unnecessary violence. Just pure strategy. News outlets began calling Edwin a Canadian Robin Hood. Though he never stole for the poor, only for survival, and eventually for thrill. But legends always attract attention. And attention always brings trouble. Soon, the police launched the largest manhunt Toronto had ever seen. In 1951, the Boyd Gang was captured. Most believed it was the end of the story. But Edwin was not done. What happened next became the stuff of cinematic history. A daring jailbreak. With smuggled hacksaw blades, they cut through cell bars at the Don Jail, one of Canada's most heavily guarded prisons. Then, using bedsheets twisted into ropes, they climbed down the prison wall under the cover of darkness. When police discovered the empty cells the next morning, they couldn't believe it. The country exploded with fear, excitement, and disbelief. Everyone asked the same question. How does a group of charming bank robbers escape a maximum security prison? It only made their legend stronger. and it only made the police more determined. After the escape, the gang went back to what they did best, robbing banks. But this time, the city was ready. Roadblocks, undercover officers, and radio alerts turned Toronto into a fortress. But Edwin still felt unstoppable. Then came one last, fatal mistake. A robbery too risky, too fast, too exposed. Police surrounded them within minutes. Shots were fired, for the first time in the gang's history. 2 members of the gang were killed. Edwin was captured alive. And just like that, the gentleman bandit's reign was over. Edwin was sentenced to multiple life sentences. The newspapers that once praised him now printed his downfall. But prison changed him. Time changed him. He grew older, quieter, reflective. After serving more than a decade, Edwin was unexpectedly granted parole. He walked out a free man, no longer a young outlaw, but a man searching for peace. He changed his name, moved across the country, lived quietly. No more heists. No more headlines. For the rest of his life, he worked as a bus driver, an artist, a man in the shadows. Many of his neighbors never even knew who he really was. Even legends grow tired of running. The story of Edwin Alonzo Boyd reminds us of something deeper. Not all criminals are monsters. Some are simply broken people trying to survive. Some fall into darkness not out of cruelty, but out of desperation. And some, like Edwin, spend their final years trying to rewrite their past in quiet, small acts of ordinary life. He died in 2002, far from the chaos he once created. His crimes left scars.